All right, so this past weekend, they had a massive rally at Madison Square Garden, and they had Tony Hinchcliffe, who is the creator of the show Kill Tony. That is massive. Jordan Peterson was just on there. I've watched the Jordan Peterson episode. I watched quite a few episodes. Tony seems like a pretty funny guy, but he is an edgy guy. And he made some jokes about Puerto Rico that kind of set the internet ablaze. There's also some celebrities that have responded that are Puerto Rican, but I have a Trump supporter who lives in Puerto Rico right now who's gonna give us his thoughts on this as well.
It is absolutely wild times. It really, really is. And, you know, there's a lot going on. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay. All right. Okay. We're getting there. No,
so, I want to first point out something very important. The Trump campaign has distanced themselves from this. You could hear the room go, oh, right? Like there's a tension in the room. The room wasn't really with it. So this is their official response. This joke does not reflect the views of President Trump or the campaign, senior Trump advisor Danielle Alvarez said. So very small statement, but she did say something, and they did clean it up. Now, I want to bring in someone who is a fairly open Trump supporter and is also lives in Puerto Rico and get his thoughts on it. Okay. So some of you guys may know this gentleman. My guy, John Clash, is here. John Clash, he used to live in Puerto Rico. His wife is Puerto Rican. They just moved back to the States. You are a Trump guy. What do you think about this entire debacle?
So I would say, you know, as far as me being a Trump guy, I am a not Kamala. We got to go, like, we just have to, you know what I mean? And I am not like a super big Trump fan, but we are left with two options here. It's just the way that it is. And I think that the Kamala train and the Kamala campaign and what they stand for is just so bad that, you know, how people were before voting anything but Trump. I think us as Christians need to be at the point of anything but Kamala. Like we really do, especially with her views on abortion. Like that is just a no-go. Now, as far as this this joke is, I just think it was really bad timing, right? I think it was a bad joke. I watched the whole entire like 11 minutes of it. I think the guy's funny. This is my first time ever watching him speak or do a comedy bit. I like his style of humor, like sarcastic, passive aggressive.
Yeah.
I
it's
like
very dark too.
Yeah. So I think that the timing was just really bad. I have a few friends who have like millions of followers. They're comedians and they have a mostly Latino audience. And one of them just started doing stand-up. And I went to go see him when he was in Boston doing one of his first shows. And his stuff was pretty raunchy. It's not like it's not like the top of my list of things that I enjoy. But one of the things I praised him on was adjusting to his audience and the timing of his jokes, right? This is, what do we got? A few days. People can vote right now. We already voted, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't think that figure even counts Puerto Rico as a whole. You have just in Pennsylvania, I think over 600,000 Latino voters, and the majority of them are Puerto Ricans, and Pennsylvania is a swing state. So this joke landed super flat. And I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, you can't make fun of this, you can't make fun of that. I'm like, make fun of whatever. I think comedy is one of the last forms of free speech that we have right now. So go for it. But I also think that it's layered, right? It's just bad timing because I believe when it comes to debating, when it comes to trying to get a point across, and you have somebody of the opposition who their whole entire thing is identity politics, don't give them an inch. You know, you give them an inch, they're going to take a whole mile and then do a marathon with it. And you already see it everywhere. Right. You got AOC talking about it. This reflects Trump's rhetoric and blah, blah, blah. And honestly, in the public sphere, rhetoric wins arguments over truth a lot of times. And the left is really good at grabbing on to something stupid that somebody says, running with it really far, and their rhetoric game is on 1,000. you know?
Yep.
So
Yeah, no, that's
they're
good.
taking this and running with it.
Yeah, I mean, your initial response to me when I texted you is, do they want to win?
Right. It's like 5.6 million. Like, what are we thinking here? We're in the home stretch. And here's the thing. I was talking to my father-in-law, who is diehard Trump supporter,
Yeah.
Puerto Rican as Puerto Rican can be. And I was like, hey, Tony, that's his name. I'm like, Tony, are you going to vote for Kamala now that this comedian just said something about Puerto Rico? He's like, heck no, I ain't voting for Kamala. So, Puerto Ricans who are voting for Trump,
Yeah.
they're voting for Trump.
Yeah.
It's
No,
the
no, no,
people
no.
in the middle.
Yes, and that's the chat here. There's a lot of Puerto Ricans in the chat here, and they're like, "Look, I'm not changing my mind on this. I'm voting for Trump." They see they're never Harris guy, like I am, right? There's no Trumpster. There's never Trump. I'm a never Harris guy. But this is the thing that I think that's important is that for the swing voter in a swing state, in Pennsylvania is a swing state with 500,000 plus Puerto Rican voters that by the way, if you were born in Puerto Rico and you come to America, you can vote. You're a citizen. People don't know that. Yep. So you're like dunking on this island that is technically, what is it, considered a colony, or what is Puerto Rico technically?
It's a territory
of the United States. And it's the swing voter that, to me, I go, this seems like hubris. Like this seems like early celebration. This is Hillary on her flight to New York, popping champagne, thinking she has it in the bag. Like that's how this comes off to me. It's like, you're in New York, bro. Like you're in New York, and you allow someone like that to go and make a joke. Again, in any other context of his own stand-up Kill Tony thing, but like all the variables of like, bro, it just seems like there's just so much hubris and so much arrogance that like, yeah, we got this in the bag. Kamala's dead in the water. And it's like, you need this constituency. Yeah. You need swing voters. You need Pennsylvania, dog. What are you doing? Like, why would you alienate or upset anyone right now?
And it's bananas because you're in New York, right? There's already like rallies going on within the Puerto Rican community in New York. And you got to not just think about the millions of Puerto Ricans living in the States. You have Puerto Rican adjacent people like me, married into a Puerto Rico family. My son is half Puerto Rican. Who, and then you not only offend them, but when you offend one Latino, you could offend just all Latinos in general, because you're like, oh, this is how the guy thinks about Latinos. Oh, nah, I'm good on this.
Yeah.
So it's a mess.
Well, even the people would argue that the reason why Puerto Rico had gone through it is because of some rough policies towards Puerto Rico from America. Yeah, we haven't done right by them all the time, right? And that's not a liberal, wokey take. That's like just a historical take. Like, we haven't done right by Puerto Rico. And so and some of that, you got the video of Trump in Puerto Rico throwing paper towels out, you know what I mean? And so the Puerto Ricans' memory of this sort of stuff is not like a pleasant, he's a pro Puerto Rico. And so it's like stacking these two things so close to a day where you're not that ahead in the polls in Pennsylvania. I know I'm speaking very pragmatically, right? Like I know I'm very like, you got to bring the win home, but I'm starting there, and then going deeper to say, well, wait a minute, why does Puerto Rico have issues? Like, why are there issues in Puerto Rico? And you could speak to that better than I can, John. And it's not that they're just this garbage of what did he call it? A trash
island of trash,
an island of trash. Like that got there somehow. Like there's a way that got there, and it's not because Puerto Ricans are lazy and sloppy people. Like that's not it.
So there's a huge mix of it, right? Another thing people forget is the damage that Maria did to Puerto Rico. Mm-hmm. That debris is still there. Then you just had Fiona that my wife and I, we lost power for a whole entire week, but we were lucky to get it back faster than everyone else. But during that week, we were taking donations and delivering stuff to areas like Salinas that got super jacked. And you're driving through there, it looks like, I can't explain it. People's whole entire houses are just outside because everything is flooded. They lost everything, right?
Yes.
So you have that. Then you have just the sanitation issues that they have. The municipalities and the governments are really not on top of it in the way that they should. And there is there's an underlying truth. Like that joke didn't just come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Trash is a problem out there, and
Right.
you know, one of the biggest discrepancies that you'll see or hear from people in Puerto Rico is you go to some of their beaches. They're the most beautiful beaches in the world, and then right across the street you got piles of trash, or right in the middle you got trash overflowing. And it's partly because it's just like, well, where are we going to put it? You know, culturally it's just like hands in the air, like what are we going to do with this, you know? And then on top of that, you have the government there. When you send the money, it disappears. So even if they created a program to go clean up all the beaches, to go clean up all of everything, the money just disappears. And what's interesting is there's actually been out there, there's a conservative uprising. One of my friend, Nicole, her mother is running for mayor in, I believe, Caguas, and she's in the conservative party, gaining traction. So there's a lot that goes on in Puerto Rico and that joke had some underlying truth. But here's the thing. Puerto Ricans, even with all of the issues that the island has, they love their island. Like, if you're going to talk about the problems that are in Puerto Rico, you don't just do it in a flippant joke like that and then move on to the next thing. Talk about the problems with like moving towards how we can address them and stop treating Puerto Rico like the redheaded stepchild of the United States, you know? So there's a whole lot of context to the Puerto Rican discussion that gets lost when you just say there's, oh yeah, it's an island of trash. And like, what are we thinking here?
Yeah, that's good. And again, I'm speaking it very pragmatically. Like it seems like hubris and we're so ahead that like we could just do what we want and be sloppy. And I just think there's a lot writing for them that this is not how you carry yourself, man. John, thank you so much for calling in, man. I appreciate you, brother. Hey, thank you so much for checking out the video. Comment down below and let me know what you think. And be sure to check out this video that YouTube is recommending just for you. Let me know if they nailed it. All right? I'll see you over there. Peace.